My name is Rodney Terry.
Listen, Terry, what is your status? Are you single, in relationship, maybe?
I am in a relationship of 1 year and 8 months.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
What are some of the obstacles that you face being in a relationship?
Obstacles that I face in a relationship is literally figuring out the other individual. One thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is that when you meet someone new, depending on where you met them at 25, 26, or 27 years old, this other individual has 25, 26, or 27 years of experience. So you have to literally learn how to be together, learn how each other react to and respond to life, and actually kind of sacrifice your own personal things that you enjoy doing or your own personal way of thinking to accommodate that other individual. So that's like one of the obstacles that I usually face is learning how to sacrifice what I used to of 26 years and versus what this other individual who's 26 years as well is used to and making it work together. Knowing what I know now, what would I do differently? What I would have done differently, I actually took this approach with this relationship than the ones I had in the past, was be very intentional about my relationship. People I see a lot of times, including myself at the time, was aimlessly dating. And whenever you're aimlessly dating, you have a hard time really having an intent to your relationship. So you go in this circle over and over again. It's not until you actually say, okay, I'm intentionally dating to be married. For those who don't have those intentions, oftentimes you kind of go with the whim of that relationship. If they just want to kick it on a weekend, and you guys should just be kicking it forever. So just being intentional about your relationship, I feel like is one of the biggest things that have helped me do things differently to make it last for 1 year and 8 months. It's interesting that I had no examples for relationships because I was raised by my grandmother, who was a single. I was born. My mom had me at 17. She was single. No real relationships in my entire family besides a great grandmother and a great uncle. They were married, but we weren't really close. So literally, my examples of relationships didn't come until I was interested in finding out what a relationship actually looked like, a successful relationship. So what I began to do look at other individuals, other men who were either in my church or mentors who actually had what I wanted. It's a very, 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 very important thing to kind of reflect relationships that you actually want versus relationships that you just kind of see around. Because if somebody who's been divorced 7 times probably couldn't teach me anything besides how to become divorced, unless they're teaching me how to not become divorced. So I generally get my examples from people who I aspire after and try to go after what they have and tweak it also too, because there's no perfect relationship, and everybody's been transparent and honest to let me know that, and I implement what I've learned from them as well as what works for my relationship to move forward successfully. Relationships were definitely something I was seeking. I was seeking it, but there's the thing, when I was younger, I was seeking relationships more so as validation, because I felt like that if I had somebody, then I'll be able to say, hey, look at my girl, check her out or whatever. It wasn't until I actually realized that I had to work on myself as being preparing myself for a relationship. People oftentimes say, oh, I need somebody who completes me. The thing is that what's wrong about that is that you can't really find somebody who completes you, because if they leave, then you're incomplete again. So it's very important that you complete yourself. That's the importance of singleness, to get yourself together. And then when you become with this other person, hopefully they're complete, but not perfect complete, but hopefully they're complete in their own self-worth and validation, that you guys are sharpening each other to even become better. And that's a sharper couple. The 5 words that describe my comfort level, I have 3, which is supported, which is celebrated, and which is honored. I'm supported, and I have big dreams. I'm a big dreamer. Shout out to every young lady who is gonna eventually date or are dating a big dreamer, because you have to have a lot of patience. You have to have a lot of faith, in that individual, because you kind of feel like you're insecure if the person really don't have everything that they say that they want. But supported, I feel like I've been from her. Celebrated, everything that I do is celebrated, which is very, very nice, because I'm used to being celebrated by so many people on the outside. It's still not as important as a person who's there by you side by side, who actually sees you and your flaws and get to see you when everybody else don't get to see you, like when I'm hungry and I snap out or something like that. But just celebrated and honored, just as far as the person I'm with right now sees the God in me and challenges the God in me. What I mean by that is that everything that I speak in faith, she holds me accountable for. Everything that I speak out of faith, she reminds me of what my destiny and my goals are. And it takes an individual who really have the same intent when you're in a relationship to be able to do that, because they have to have on that faith level, like how the Bible talks about being unequally yoked. That's very significant, because how can you inspire me in the word if you don't really have the word? If I tell myself, oh, I'm gonna quit, and you be like, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, that task was too hard anyway. Versus like, oh no, what does the word of God says about you quitting? What does the word of God says about you actually prospering and going after what He's predestined you for? So those are the three most important words to kind of describe how I feel in my relationship: supported, celebrated, and honored. Wow, boundaries. I have a lot of boundaries. Actually, it's a practice that I did with my last relationship, which I didn't kiss my girlfriend until we supposedly got married. Things didn't go that way, obviously, because we had two separate destinies and we moved two different places. But one of the boundaries that I have here is, of course, no sex, because that thing is a distraction. Do you hear? Okay. Here's the thing about the boundaries. When it comes to a relationship, you have to set boundaries for your relationship. Some people who can kiss, other people can't, because it'll take you somewhere. Some people who kick it, I'm on a Saturday night. Some people can kick it and go home. Other people going to kick it and want to stay the night. You guys have to set up boundaries. And here's the thing with boundaries: people feel like boundaries bound. I was driving to Atlanta and I was on heels. I was driving through and I was on some heels, and the scariest part is driving 80 miles per hour and continue to have to brace yourself for whatever happens. But there were guardrails on this expressway. They weren't there to keep me confined. They were there to keep me safe. So whenever you have boundaries in place, it's not more so to keep you confined, saying, "Oh, I can't get what I can't get what I feel like I want right now in my flesh." It's not even the spirit. But those boundaries are set in place, because if I go over that boundary, I risk the point of not killing myself, but killing this relationship and in the spiritual aspect. So boundaries were important and are important in the relationship that I have. And it makes me even more, it makes my heart a little bit more vulnerable, because here it is, I have nothing else but this individual to go off of. I don't have sex to keep coming back to. I don't have the money to keep coming back to. All I have is her natural self and who she is without all the distractions. And so those are some of the boundaries that I have, and the importance of boundaries in any relationship. I love relationships, period. And like, this is something I studied relationships since I was 19 years old. So like, I was trying to figure out the 6 steps to dating, the 3 ways to XYZ. But then the thing is that no matter how much I was learning, at the end of the day, I had to come and I had to tweak it myself and kind of do my own thing and say. So it's not even, now let me tell you now, what really came from me being intentional is that at 19 years old, I lost my virginity to this young lady who I wasn't even dating. And it broke my heart, because I felt like she had kind of lured me, man. Like she lured me, and I was like 19 years of my life, I had stayed without being, I never got in any relations with anybody but this young lady, who had then 2 weeks later went off back to her ex-boyfriend or whatever. Because I guess she was in a vulnerable side, that she was broken up and all that other stuff. And I give my responsibility that I mean, obviously I participated. But after that time, I remember this mime group that was coming out. I don't cry at church. That's not my form of worship, but I do, unless the Lord puts on my heart. But I'm like, that's not my thing. So she comes down the aisle with her face half painted as a mime, and she says, "Lord, I've been serving you all this time, and you still let this happen to me." And that was a Sunday after I had did everything, and I broke down crying. So I went to my room, and this is in 2008. I remember like it's yesterday. And I wrote in my journal exactly what I wanted in a young lady. And I told the Lord, I apologize if you allow me to get the next person who I date to be somebody who I marry. I'll sacrifice those areas that I didn't sacrifice before. And because I didn't know what that really meant, that's what got me into, oh, I heard about the Mesh Conference, or oh, I read this book, or I'm watching on YouTube relationships. And when I really got a grasp of it, I was very intentional about keeping that consistent because I never wanted to experience. That was as a guy, they don't say it because their way of is to introvert or to go into some cave and just, but me being open and being able to speak for guys, that stuff hurts. It hurted on my side, and I didn't want to experience that hurt or be the cause of anybody else hurt in the future. So that's where, that's why, 26. Yeah, I just turned 26 in October. Not just, but, so yeah. Thank you. Cool. Yes. Okay.